All right, so hello, friends. It's your buddy Tim. Tim is not looking too good and not feeling too good. Who knows? I might even have something in my beard right now. Sorry if that's gross. What can I say? I've been sick for the last 2 days, and today we're going to do a double live stream. So this video, if you're watching this in the future at some point, in this video, we're going to talk about some problems I've had with sending money. In a recent live stream, I went over the realities, or what I thought were the realities, of sending money to and from Russia as it stands today. But after putting my money where my mouth is, in a sort of kind of semi-literal way, there's actually a lot more complications. So we're going to talk about that in the first stream. The second live stream is going to be about a very sad topic that I'll talk about when that starts. Why sad? Because I'm sick as a dog and I don't feel good. And now is a very good time to talk about that. You know what, friends? I worked on the radio for many years, and there's this tendency, like if you even probably remember, I remember even when I was like a kid on The Simpsons, they would make fun of the way that all the radio announcers would always talk like this. They call that type of radio announcer a puker. The thing is with that kind of happens to everyone. I think it's what happens to you when you're sort of forced to put energy into things, especially because I was on the morning zoo and you kind of want to be energetic and you want to be able to relay the information you're relaying, even if it's not very interesting, to sound interesting. And I think that we can all tend to do that. And one of the reasons I want to talk about the second topic, which is going to be a sad one today, is because I feel terrible and I can't do that. There is no way that I am going to accidentally talk about something really bad with a lot of happiness and energy. It's not going to happen. Not today. But so anyways, topic number 1 for today is about sending money. Now, the problem is here, in the last video, I told you that I was able to open a bank account fairly easily with Tinkoff Bank. In fact, one of our viewers opened one with them. He had some problems, not surprisingly. And sort of the promise of it was sort of like, oh my God, we're an unsanctioned bank and this is going to be great. And you could do this, that, and the other, and everything's going to be wonderful, the yada, yada, yada. Well, not so much. There's not too much that I think really actually makes this whole Tinkoff Bank different from any of the other ones. Because, my friends, I was offered the opportunity to film. So basically, it would be like filming stock footage for a Japanese company. They're putting, I shouldn't reveal their project, but they wanted to film a project sort of about kind of like with a lot of street views and daily life in Russia. Okay, they showed me some of their other projects. They seem to be fairly neutral about whatever topics they carried, or at least the English translation looked to be pretty neutral. Remember, apparently Japanese is one of the hardest languages to automatically translate because it's very vague who the subject of the sentence is, the magic of Japanese. But anyways, they seem to be, well, they didn't seem to be like corny yellow journalists. So I said, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm not going to say the amount of money, but the amount of money for the amount of work was very fair. So I was like, awesome. This is great. But you guys understand, even though you're a big Japanese company, you understand there's sanctions here. So what are we going to do? And that's one of the reasons why I opened that Tinkoff Bank account, was so that I could legally do this sort of stock footage, slice of life project for this company, and they would pay me and everything would be good. Well, along the way, they tell me that they sort of looked into it, and they heard that when you actually send money over SWIFT internationally, very often the money can kind of bounce around. If you've ever looked, when you, at least in the past, if you send money, there's sometimes labeled like an intermediary bank. Well, apparently there's a bunch of intermediary banks. There's all sorts of intermediary action. And they said that their advisors told them that they cannot send money to to Russia, that they were afraid that the money would get frozen because it would go somewhere bad and this, that, and the other. So I kind of discussed with them all the other different ways that we sort of did with that, the last live stream. Again, I sort of like to combine things that happen in my real life and things I've sort of already had to research with these live streams. That way I'm sort of doing, getting 2 results from one job. But basically, overall, guys, everything I told you in the last live stream, the Japanese could not do it. It did not work. And so over the last few days, I've been in the wonderful land of tech support, talking to numerous Russian banks about what to do. So what can we do now? A Japanese company wants to send me money. Who knows? I might, some of you guys have wanted to send me money. Remember, if you see it in the, I'll put it in the chat here. Or I guess if you look in the main channel, the Tim Kirby Russia Hardcore channel, I just put up the thing about Boosty. Sometimes Boosty for some people works if they use different payment methods. Sometimes it doesn't. We only have a few Boosty subscribers, but that money really helps me out. It really, really has helped me out this year, and I really appreciate it. So if you guys could try to send me some money over Boosty, that really works. But anyways, I digress. So moving forward about this whole money issue. As soon as I mentioned Boosty, a few people left. A few people are watching left. It's not a good sign. Not a good sign. But anyways, so what can we actually do in terms of sending money to Russia? According to a few different Russian banks, they essentially the main problem is that they spoke in this very defensive, non-committal, I'm not advising you to do something sort of way of talking. Basically, especially with Tinkoff, it was sort of like, we're an unsanctioned bank, we're awesome, we're so international, we're so amazing. Then when it comes to shove, it's like, well, I can't give you any advice. I can only talk about the services that Tinkoff provides. I'm kind of feeling a little bit betrayed. And if I wasn't, there are a few other things I want to try with this bank account, but I might actually just cancel it because this is BS. I feel lied to, and that is a bad, that's a bad way to start off a relationship. So far I'm very unhappy with them. But essentially they say they can't accept any amount of money under $200. And even then the transfer fee is going to be like $50 or 3%. And the thing that they said was the real problem is that they cannot guarantee that any transaction won't be frozen if it's in dollars. So essentially Japanese company can't pay me. Even if one of you guys was some sort of weird, stereotypical Texas billionaire, you couldn't send me or anyone in Russia any money, so on and so forth. Now, as I went down the line calling basically every bank in Russia, a couple things opened up. A few of the banks said that they had basically partner banks in other countries, and that if you send money to those banks in partner countries, okay, one of the banks that definitely had them was VTB. So what does it say here? VTB Kazakhstan, Belarus, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and that's, I guess, it. So not a whole lot of options. But if you send the money to Russia, if you send it to an intermediary bank that's a VTB bank, and that money becomes rubles and is sent to Russia, they said it'll work. Apparently the key thing is it's not just the SWIFT system, but it's dollars. Apparently the power of, I was going to say the U.S. government, but it's kind of weird because it's kind of the Fed. It's kind of the Fed. It's kind of, what is that? OFAC are the people who deal with sanctions. It's very weird. Excuse me, guys. I'm feeling very, very ill. That's why I wanted to talk about a terribly sad topic today. Live stream number 2 is coming up right after this. You won't have to go anywhere. You won't even have to come back. Don't worry about it. But anyways, so apparently with VTB Bank, if you get rubles sent to their partner banks in other countries, those can send to Russia. So again, it seems like going through all these different banks that I talked to, it's actually really the problem being dollars themselves. The dollars are basically cursed, and it goes beyond the SWIFT system. So dollars are a cursed currency for the moment. And you really, if you want to transfer money to Russia, you have to find out a way to get it into rubles. That's basically what all these banks told me. But again, remember, they told me in this very legalese, how can I say it? Like, well, you can, if you want to, try to send money to our bank through rubles because rubles aren't connected to the dollar SWIFT system, which, like this very sort of like backing me off, pushing me away, taking all responsibility away from them and putting it all onto my shoulders. And ironically, of all the banks I talked to, it was really Tinkoff that gave by far the worst answer. They just kind of were like, well, you're pretty much screwed. The other banks at least offered this option of talking to some intermediaries, trying to get rubles. So, guys, unfortunately, we're kind of coming to the end of Livestream 1 because I didn't have that much to say. But unfortunately, it looks like the reality of sending money to Russia is, oddly, that weird Boosty thing, which is kind of like Patreon. Subscribe to my Boosty, my Patreon. You can find it there. You can also find my fantastic crypto wallet if you want to do that. Crypto does work for sending to Russia. Getting the money out is no easy task, and finding out how to get it out is no easy task. Crypto does work. People have told me they've done it. But in terms of sending like money internationally in a good old, very reliable way, unless you can convert your money to rubles, there's really no way to do it. It is off the table, and it is unreliable. And even banks that aren't sanctioned are still being punished, which I think is especially ridiculous. Because with this, even with this Tinkov, I had to, sign the thing. There's basically this piece of paper where almost every bank on earth has to report to the IRS. So trust me, I'm not going to be making big bank anytime soon. I'm going to be way under the tax exemption. Remember, if you're an American, you live overseas, the first $105 or whatever $1,000 you make is tax exempt. I'm never going to go over that. No, that's okay. That's okay. Maybe one day, who knows? But in the near future, no. Especially not being a part-time voice actor and full-time host of tourist videos. That ain't going to happen. But anyways, guys, so that's it for our live stream number 1 for today. The only way that you can send money to Russia, that's reliably, according to a whole hell of a lot of Russian banks that I talked to, is it can't be done via SWIFT, and it can't be done in dollars, and probably euros too. I didn't ask about euros, but I'm sure it's the same thing because it's all the West. You essentially have to have rubles. How do you buy rubles? I don't know. Guys, that I can't help you with. I don't know how you could start a ruble account, especially now, and especially like if you're in the United States or Canada or wherever. How are you going to start a ruble bank account? You're just not. But apparently you could maybe try to talk to like Sberbank in Serbia. There's Sberbanks in Europe. Serbia would probably be the best one. Or you could talk to these VTB banks. I don't know. Perhaps Raiffeisen is a lot because that's actually Austria. And the closer you get to Russia, and kind of the more flexible these things can be. So who knows? Maybe you can do some Raiffeisen banks overseas, and maybe they can buy rubles because they have Russian banking. But I don't know. But anyways, guys, that's the end of live stream number 1. Live stream number 2 is going to be starting right now as soon as I can stop the recording. Here we go.